Terry here again. This morning I've been thinking about an old quote from Dietrich Bonhoeffer in a classic book called The Cost of Discipleship. I hadn't read the quote in a long time, so in my mind it morphed a few different ways, applied in different ways. But I didn't even have the book anymore in paperback, so I needed to download it on Kindle just to find the quote again to take a look at it. And the quote original is, "Only the man who follows the command of Jesus single-mindedly and unresistingly lets his yoke rest upon him, finds his burden easy, and under its gentle pressure receives the power to persevere in the right way." Then the part that I remembered more closely: "The command of Jesus is hard, unutterably hard for those who try to resist. But for those who willingly submit, the yoke is easy and the burden is light." I'll read that last part again. The command of Jesus, command to love, to follow his way. The command of Jesus is hard, unutterably hard for those who try to resist it. But for those who willingly submit, the yoke is easy and the burden is light. I'll set that aside. And the way I remember it is to apply it broadly and say obedience, or doing the right thing, or doing the wise thing, or acting responsibly is hard, unutterably hard for those who resist. But it's easy for those who willingly submit. And I've applied it in my life. Like this morning at breakfast, we had breakfast at Panera Bread this morning. And I said to Anita, today I was kind of resisting sitting down and doing some writing. I'd rather do something else because I just didn't feel like doing it. And I started building up all this resistance to it. Then realized, if I'm retired. If I don't want to write, I don't need to. So it's nobody's telling me to do it. And as soon as I decided, I don't have to do it, I wanted to do it. There's some sort of resistance that built up in me of writing again as some sort of a task. But I'm applying it to more broadly, and a couple of things trying to understand. Like, for example, getting COVID shot, getting the booster, and so on. And I'm seeing all this resistance to it. When I listen to the resistance, it's not that I've looked at the research and I've looked at the pros and cons and what the researchers are telling me and so on. And based upon my understanding of what things are going on, I've decided to not get the booster or whatever. But I don't hear that as much from those who are not getting a shot. It's much more like, nobody can tell me what to do. I or it's some sort of a conspiracy, or there are bad things that happen kind of things, but it's that resistance. And it's interesting because there are those in power positions, politics or whatever, that are finding it helpful to their power to set up this, to encourage that resistance. Because they find if they spin it this way, then they get more power against others. And then the people who follow these people in power resist more and more. So this shot, which we just got a booster a couple of weeks ago, and we haven't had any symptoms whatsoever before anyway, but it took maybe 15 minutes because we were at the grocery store anyway with a pharmacy. Didn't cost us anything, so it was like 15 minutes, and protecting ourselves against severe in our understanding, and protects others because we're less likely to get it. So it's like, but we willingly did it. that we didn't build up resistance to it. We didn't feel like it was a huge thing to do to have to schedule it and get that, or we might have a sore arm or whatever. We didn't build up the resistance to it. But there are those who have so much resistance that it becomes almost impossible. Very, very difficult to do it because there's some sort of resistance that builds up. And for me, it could be something as simple as learning to adjust to hearing aids. And hearing aids, I get where it comes from, growing up on a farm with very loud machinery around me for the first, 18, 20 years of my life. So I know that, and listening to music much set at higher volume than I needed to, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Three Dog Nights, those bands blasting in my ear sometimes with big headphones on. It's like, so I know where it comes from. Part of its age, you put those all together, but I could resist it and say, I don't want to put them in the morning, and I, like when I do this, I can hear it, or once in a while I'm out there and I'm in the wind and I might hear a little something, or the background noise, and all those things that I could resist, rather than just saying, hey, this is the wise thing for me to do at this point. Just put them in and wear them full time. Easy once I just say, hey, this is partially a stage of life. This is something the wise thing to do. Or we're thinking through wearing masks right now because, like, we'll go into a restaurant with maybe 50 people in it and we'll be the only persons with masks on. But when I talk to some people, there's so much resistance. They want to avoid places or get very upset if somebody tells them to wear a mask. It's different if they say, we've looked at the research again and looked at all the different things going on and so on, and we feel like it's not a necessary thing to do, or it's not a wise thing, or in the balance of things for people easier to communicate and connect with people, so we feel like it's worth the slightly heightened risk. No, it's a different thing. It's like, this is so uncomfortable, this is so difficult. I'm thinking, what a small sacrifice. It's for us, it's not a big deal to wear a mask. You just, once you get used to it, you just put it on. And again, it could be a decision, a very wise decision. That's fine. We're making the decision that most of the time, especially in crowded situations, we will wear a mask because we feel like it makes sense to us. But it's that we are willing, we are open to, we haven't built up this resistance, be it a political thing or a feeling like nobody can tell me what to do. I want to respond sometimes, nobody can tell you what to do. What are we in, junior high? Of course people can tell us what to do. We wear seatbelts, we wear clothes, we do all kinds of things because people tell us what to do. So that doesn't make any sense. That's more a reason after we're trying to explain away. But I've been thinking about that Bonhoeffer quote, reviewing it, and just saying, hey, it's easy for those who willingly yield. I want to have a life where I willingly yield, but then try to make the wise decision. I don't have resistance to this or that. I'm not upset over having to do something that somebody recommends. I'm not trying to resist and say, hey, it's my right, it's my freedom to not do the wise thing. I'm trying to act responsibly, but say, hey, I want to be in a posture where it's easy to obey, my internal guidance system. It's easy to obey the advice, the influence of those that I respect the most, those that have the most information, those that I feel have integrity, to willingly be able to do that. So the decision doesn't become some sort of a huge onerous type thing that it's very, very difficult. Therefore, I'm going to do the easy thing. So I don't know where your life is or where you struggle. and there are times that, of course, I resist different things because I'm ornery or just in a, I don't know, just something starts building up. But I want to pay attention when that happens. Why is this being so difficult? And sit with it and say, is this one of those things that I'm just resisting without sound reason? And if I don't resist either way for decision A or B, if I'm not in that resistant place, then I'm able to do the wise thing. I'm able to listen to the guidance system within, that sometimes that still small voice, or listen to the voice of those that are speaking into my life that I respect. So resistance. I like to have less resistance to different options and then be able to wisely make decisions. So that's on my mind today. Talk to you next time.